Zohnerism. Why we need to avoid watching too much of breaking news, and panel discussions on TV news channels, nowadays. Because they all follow Zohnerism. What is this notorious concept of Zohnerism? Zohnerism is all about twisting of simple facts, to confuse people. To know more about it, please hear the following. In 1997, 14-year-old Nathan Zohner presented his science fair project to his classmates, seeking to ban a highly toxic chemical from its everyday use. The chemical in question? Dihydrogen monoxide. Throughout his presentation, Zohner provided his audience scientifically correct evidences as to why this chemical should be banned. He explained that dihydrogen monoxide causes severe burns while it's in gas form, corrodes and rusts metal, kills countless amounts of people annually, is commonly found in tumors, acid rain etc., causes excessive urination and bloating if consumed. Zohner also noted that the chemical is able to kill you if you depend on it, and then experience an extended withdrawal. He then asked his classmates if they actually wanted to ban dihydrogen monoxide. And so, 43 out of the 50 children present voted to ban this clearly toxic chemical. However, this chemical isn't typically considered toxic at all. In fact, dihydrogen monoxide is simply H2O, which is nothing but water. Nathan Zohner's experiment wasn't a legitimate attempt to ban water, but instead, an experiment to get a representation of how gullible people can really be. Also, all of the points that Zohner used to convey his point were 100% factually correct. He just skewed all of the information in his favor by omitting certain facts. In recognition of his experiment, journalist James K. Glassman coined the term Zohnerism to refer to the use of a true fact to lead a scientifically and mathematically ignorant public to a false conclusion. And this occurs a lot more often than you think, especially when politicians, conspiracy theorists, etc., use proven facts to persuade people into believing false claims. The fact that people can mislead and be misled so easily is highly unsettling. The dihydrogen monoxide parody involves calling water by an unfamiliar chemical name, most often dihydrogen monoxide, DHMO, and listing some of water's effects in a particularly alarming manner, such as accelerating corrosion, rust, and causing suffocation, drowning. The parody often calls for dihydrogen monoxide to be banned, regulated, or labeled as dangerous. It plays into chemophobia, and demonstrates how a lack of scientific literacy and an exaggerated analysis can lead to misplaced fears. The parody has been used with other chemical names such as hydrogen hydroxide, dihydrogen oxide and hydric acid. A 1983 April Fool's Day edition of the Durand Express, a weekly newspaper in Durand, Michigan, reported that dihydrogen oxide had been found in the city's water pipes, and warned that it was fatal if inhaled, and could produce blistering vapors. The first appearance of the parody on the internet was attributed by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette to the Coalition to Ban Dihydrogen Monoxide, a parody organization at UC Santa Cruz following on-campus postings and newsgroup discussions, in 1990. This new version of the parody was created by housemates while attending the University of California, Santa Cruz, in 1989 to 1990, revised by Craig Jackson in 1994, and brought to widespread public attention in 1997, when Nathan Zohner, a 14-year-old student, gathered petitions to ban DHMO as the basis of his science project, titled How Gullible Are We? Jackson's original site included the following warning. Dihydrogen monoxide is also known as hydroxyl acid, and is the major component of acid rain. Contributes to the greenhouse effect. May cause severe burns. contributes to the erosion of our natural landscape, accelerates corrosion and rusting of many metals, may cause electrical failures and decreased effectiveness of automobile brakes. Has been found in excised tumors of terminal cancer patients. Despite the danger, dihydrogen monoxide is often used as an industrial solvent and coolant in nuclear power plants, in the production of styrofoam, as a fire retardant, in many forms of cruel animal research, in the distribution of pesticides. Even after washing, produce remains contaminated by this chemical. As an additive, in certain junk foods and other food products. The water molecule has the chemical formula H2O, meaning, the molecule is composed of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Literally, the term dihydrogen monoxide means 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. The prefix di in dihydrogen means 2, the prefix mono in monoxide means 1, and oxide designates oxygen in a compound. Due to the 2 O's that would happen in monoxide, the O's are fused together to form monoxide. Using chemical nomenclature, various names for water are in common use within the scientific community: hydrogen oxide, hydrogen hydroxide, which characterizes it as an alkali, and several designating it as an acid, such as hydric acid, hydroxic acid, hydroxyl acid, hydroxyic acid, and hydroxylic acid. The term used in the original text, hydroxyl acid, is a non-standard name. Under the 2005 revisions of IUPAC nomenclature of inorganic chemistry, there is no single correct name for every compound. The primary function of chemical nomenclature is to ensure that each name refers, unambiguously, to a single substance. It is considered less important to ensure that each substance should have a single, unambiguous name, although the number of acceptable names is limited. Water is one acceptable name for this compound, even though it is neither a systematic nor an international name and is specific to just one phase of the compound, its liquid form. The other IUPAC recommendation is oxidane. In 1989 to 1990, several students circulated a dihydrogen monoxide contamination warning on the University of California, Santa Cruz campus via photocopied flyers. In 1994, Craig Jackson created a web page for the Coalition to Ban D.H.M.O. The Friends of Hydrogen Hydroxide website was created by Dan Curtis Johnson, partly as a foil on the Coalition page, claiming to oppose its subversive agenda. The site points out that hydrogen hydroxide is environmentally safe and enhances the functionality, growth, and health of many forms of life. In 1997, Nathan Zohner, a 14-year-old student at Eagle Rock Junior High School in Idaho Falls, Idaho, gathered 43 votes to ban the chemical, out of 50 ninth graders surveyed. Zohner received the first prize at Greater Idaho Falls Science Fair for analysis of the results of his survey. In recognition of his experiment, journalist James K. Glassman coined the term Zohnerism to refer to the use of a true fact to lead a scientifically and mathematically ignorant public to a false conclusion. In late 1997, drawing inspiration from Jackson's web page and Zohner's research, Tom Way created a website at DHMO.org, including links to some legitimate sites such as the Environmental Protection Agency and National Institutes of Health. On April 1, 1998, April Fool's Day, a member of the Australian Parliament announced a campaign to ban dihydrogen monoxide internationally. In 2001, a staffer in New Zealand, Green Party MP Sue Kedgley's office responded to a request for support for a campaign to ban dihydrogen monoxide by saying she was absolutely supportive of the campaign to ban this toxic substance. This was criticized in a press release by the National Party, one of whose MPs fell for the very same joke 6 years later. In 2002, radio talk show host, Neil Boortz mentioned on the air that the Atlanta water system had been checked and found to be contaminated with dihydrogen monoxide, and set about relating the hazards associated with that dangerous chemical. A local TV station even covered the scandal. A spokesperson for the city's water system told the reporter that there was no more dihydrogen monoxide in the system than what was allowed under the law. The idea was used for a segment of an episode of the Penn and Teller documentary show Penn and Teller, Bullshit, in which actress Chris McGaha and a camera crew gathered signatures from people considering themselves concerned environmentalists to sign a petition to ban DHMO. In March 2004, Alice of Ohio, California, almost considered banning the use of foam containers at city-sponsored events because dihydrogen monoxide is part of their production. A paralegal had asked the city council to put it on the agenda. He later attributed it to poor research. The bill was pulled from the agenda before it could come to a vote, but not before the city received a raft of bad publicity. Tongue-in-cheek warning sign in Louisville, Kentucky. In 2006, in Louisville, Kentucky, David Karem, executive director of the Waterfront Development Corporation, a public body that operates Waterfront Park, wished to deter bathers from using a large public fountain. Counting on a lack of understanding about water's chemical makeup, he arranged for signs reading, "Danger. Water contains high levels of hydrogen. Keep out," to be posted on the fountain at public expense. In 2007, Jackie Dean, New Zealand National Party MP, fell for the joke, writing a letter to Associate Minister of Health, Jim Anderton, asking, "Does the Expert Advisory Committee on Drugs have a view on the banning of this drug?" On April 1, 2009, then Canadian Member of Parliament, Andrew Scheer, who was later elected leader of the Conservative Party, used the DHMO parody as the basis for an April Fool's Day media release on his website, in which he claimed to have presented a bill to ban the substance from all federal government buildings. In February 2011, during the campaign of the Finnish parliamentary election, a voting advice application asked the candidates whether the availability of hydric acid, also known as dihydrogen monoxide, should be restricted. 49% of the candidates answered in favor of the restriction. In April 2013, two radio personalities at Gator Country 101.9, a station in Lee County, Florida, told listeners that dihydrogen monoxide was coming out of their water taps as part of an April Fool's Day prank and were suspended for a few days. The prank resulted in several calls by consumers to the local utility company, which sent out a release stating that the water was safe,